Okay, welcome back to another video review with Cosmo. Now I really like the approach to the article here at 90 degrees. So as we see, Cosmo pushes forward there a little bit, and I like that you don't move too much, you just give Cosmo the leash. Sometimes we get tangled up, it's all good, but what's nice is that you didn't jag the leash on Cosmo, and then Cosmo independently comes around to the left here, and as we're about to see, has a very strong change of behavior right there where they pick up on the track, exit from the article, and they're on their way. You can see the extreme motivation and change of behavior as they get started there. So that's really, really nice work by Cosmo and very easy for us to read. Now, Cosmo hadn't quite settled into the track just yet when they come off to the left here and decide to do a bit of marking behavior against this stump. Now, at this point here, I would like to see you sort of yell at Cosmo a little bit and tell them they're a very naughty dog. At that point in time, just to stop that becoming a habituated behavior where they think that at any point in time they can mark along the track, which is quite annoying. Now, what I do like is that Cosmo does immediately get back to work here, which is really good to see. So just quickly, I just want to make a note that what we see throughout this track is excellent tracking behavior out of Cosmo with a lot of different behaviors for us to interpret. Now, I want to go through each of those behaviors as much as possible in this video to assist you in reading Cosmo in the future, but just for everyone in the audience and yourself, Ariana, I just want to say that, I like this system because the dog is free to work in the way that it finds most natural and efficient to do so. So in terms of canine behavior, what we can see in the next few moments on the screen here is a bit of bracketing behavior by Cosmo. What they're doing is they're actually detecting the track from quite a distance, and they're moving to the right and then to the left and coming across as they work closer and closer to find out which part of the track has the strongest amount of odor for them to work, which is therefore the easiest. And we see here that Cosmo settles in really nicely and starts detailing quite well there after bracketing for a little bit. Now, some of the key elements of that which informs us of what is going on is that Cosmo is very clearly got direction throughout that moment. And also the behavior is really clear to see that they are in odor and that they are working consistently the whole time. They're not getting distracted. So that sort of all adds up to tell us that they're bracketing a bit of odor, just trying to work out the strongest part. Now here we've just hit the corner quite nicely. Now I'm not too sure of the wind direction of this track, but regardless, what we can see is that Cosmo does a really nice job of just pretty much smashing that corner immediately. Some of the little head pops just before the corner, which we saw a moment ago, also indicate that they were able to detect the corner before they approached it, just due to the fact that when people make corners, they create additional odor in those places. Now, what we start to see here, which I'm not going to lie, I had a good chuckle when I heard Darren's voice right there, is an extremely strong and powerful proximity alert where Cosmo has picked up on the trail layer's odor and starts to work their way through. So the odor pool that they've created is not that large because it's only been aged out about 15 minutes. But regardless, Cosmo starts working their way in. And what I really like is that Cosmo does work their way in. They don't follow the odor in the wrong direction. And what is also super interesting is that they in no way, shape or form get distracted by these sheep that are running amok over the left, not far away at all. And judging by the distance from which we've had that change of behavior with the proximity alert, we know that Cosmo would have been smelling those sheep, but at no point do they switch track or become interested in them at all, which is really strongly indicative that Cosmo's scent discrimination behaviors are really coming along and doing really well in the system. Alright, so that was a fantastic little track to watch, and I thoroughly enjoyed reviewing that one, Ariana. Your leash handling is absolutely on point. Don't beat yourself up about having some line tangles at the beginning there. Your recovery was absolutely fantastic, and you didn't correct Cosmo at all throughout that little snafu. So really, really good job there, pat on the back, honestly. Cosmo is progressing wonderfully. It's such a pleasure to see Cosmo in action. She's so driven, so clear in the work, and it's amazing to see how much of a natural she is at tracking. So really, really good to see you two working so well together. Hopefully you're able to draw a little bit of information out of this video review in terms of interpreting her body language. I'm starting to see a fairly clear picture now over the previous video reviews about when she's in odor, when she's out of odor, when she's hunting for odor and when she's bracketing, as well as when she's distracted. And what's really nice to say is that certainly in regards to the distractions, they have diminished drastically from the first 1 or 2 videos that we reviewed. So, we've brought it back to a level where Cosmo was able to succeed, and they've learnt the lessons now that we really needed them to learn in terms of how to scent discriminate and also work with great motivation through a bit of an easier problem to solve to build up Cosmo's confidence. So we're progressing really, really nicely through the system here, which I'm really enjoying. Now, I'm aware that there's a video in the Google Drive for me to review, which I'll get onto this week as quickly as I can. Looking forward to watching that one. Now, in terms of general feedback on what we want to do to advance further, what we're going to do is we're going to start aging the tracks between 20 and 25 minutes. I'll leave it at your discretion on any given day to make a decision where you keep it close to 20 or closer to 25. It's not a huge time bracket, obviously, but say you're working in a hot day or a hotter day than previously, try and maybe age that around 20. If you're working in a little bit of cooler weather in the morning or it's not quite as hot on a given day, try and age it out to about 25 minutes before you commence the next track. So I'll leave that at your discretion to sort of judge the weather and previous tracks and what you've aged on that one. It's also a good way to practice as well and think about these things a bit more critically before we start a track. Additionally, to keep on progressing, because you guys are doing really, really well, I'm going to be honest with you. What I'd love to see is some single blind tracking if we can achieve it. So have someone lay the track, but then have another person who is with you walk with you who has the overlay for that track. And also you could have the person who's with you design the track, but you just give them the criteria. So what you might do is turn to a friend or a family member who's going to stay with you on the track and just say, hey, can you have whoever's laying the track walk 150 meters with one corner, and we're going to age it 20 minutes. And they'd only walk on soft surface, grass, short grass, and so on. That way you have the confidence, you're controlling the criteria essentially, because one, you need to be able to control the criteria when you're developing a dog. And two, it's also going to build your confidence up because you have a good idea of what the criteria of the track is going to be, and you have the assurance that the person with you is going to let you know if you're off on a wild goose chase. It'll be an opportunity for you essentially to track with Cosmo with a safety net, but not with the full knowledge of exactly where the track is, which will really help build up you guys' confidence as a team, and it'll also highlight any areas where you might be assisting Cosmo without realizing it through your physical presence on the track, for example, and how you're moving. Because that absolutely changes when you go from a known track to a single blind or a double blind track. So let me know your thoughts on that as well.